The Elwynn Forest stirred with the familiar rhythm of wind through leaves, birdsong in the canopy, and the distant gurgle of Silver Stream River. It was a land many passed through, but few truly saw. Nestled in its most remote corners, where moss blanketed old stones and no road dared to run, lived a solitary figure known to no one but the trees. A young man, barely into adulthood. Human, quiet, unnamed. A ghost without a grave. He had no memories of a mother's lullaby or a father's firm hand. His first memories were of surviving, foraging for berries, setting traps, avoiding beasts, hiding from patrols. He didn't remember arriving in Elwynn. For all he knew, he had always been here, a creature of the wild, shaped by solitude. By day he slept in hollowed-out tree roots, or the abandoned lean-to he had patched together from scavenged canvas. By night he moved like wind, barefoot over moss, stepping over twigs that dared to snap. He fished under starlight, roasted river trout in tiny fires, and vanished before dawn could whisper his name. The only companion he allowed himself was a dagger, unlike any he had seen, curved like a crescent moon, forged from a strange silver alloy that shimmered even in darkness. The hilt bore symbols he didn't understand. He called it Ashwind, not because he remembered anyone calling it that, but because the name had come to him one night in a dream. It felt right, familiar. Sometimes, in moments between sleep and wakefulness, he imagined a life where Ashwind had belonged to his father or his grandfather, passed from hand to hand through a line of warriors or guardians long forgotten by time. But the truth was unknowable. The blade was all he had. One humid night in early autumn, the rogue sat near the river that marked the border between Elwynn and the dark, fog-choked forest of Duskwood. A small fire crackled beside him, illuminating a skewered fish slowly sizzling over open flame. Crickets chirped in rhythm with the lapping of water, and for a moment the world felt at peace. Then came the sound. Deliberate. A footstep, not an animal's pad. A shift of weight on leaves. He froze. Years of instinct had trained him well. In an instant, he doused the fire with dirt, snatched up Ashwind, and slipped into the brush beside the riverbank. He crouched low, breath steady, eyes scanning the shadows. Then, from the far side of the river, moonlight broke through the trees. And there she was. A woman, or at least something like one. Tall, lithe, graceful. Her skin shimmered with a faint lavender hue, and her long ears curved skyward from beneath silvery white hair. Her eyes glowed gently in the dark, not with heat or anger, but with quiet awareness. The rogue's breath caught in his throat. She knelt beside the river and cupped water into her palms, drinking slowly. Her movements were fluid, as though she was part of the forest itself. She looks human, but not. What is she? He leaned forward unconsciously, hypnotized. Suddenly, "Hoot hoot!" An owl's cry rang out directly above him, a chilling, ancient sound. He jerked his head upward in alarm. The branch above him trembled as wings took flight. When he looked back down, she was staring directly at him. Not startled, not afraid, just watching. And then, as if swallowed by the shadows, she was gone. The rogue didn't sleep that day, or the next. He returned to the same riverbank for several nights, pacing, scanning the woods, examining the ground for footprints that weren't his. But there was nothing. No trace. Just the memory of lavender skin, glowing eyes, and a voice unspoken. Was she real? Or had the quiet finally broken his mind? A week later, he sat at the same campfire, the same riverbank, another fish sizzling in silence. Then, hoot! Hoot! His head snapped toward the sound. He rose and began to follow it, gliding silently along the riverbank, each step careful. Then swish! An arrow hissed past his face, embedding itself in the bark of a nearby tree. "Don't even move a muscle, human!" The voice was unmistakable. She stood in the dark, bow drawn, one eye narrowed, the other gleaming. Her cloak was torn, her side damp with blood, but she held herself like a sentinel. He raised both hands, showing ashwind in its sheath. For a moment her expression softened. The tension in her arms vanished. Then her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed. He ran to her side and checked her pulse. Alive, faint, wounded. He carried her to his fire, stoked the flames, and treated her wounds as best he could. Herbs, clean cloth, bandages made from the hem of his own cloak. The night passed. He didn't sleep. As dawn began to paint Elwynn in rose and gold, her eyes opened. "I guess I should thank you for this," she murmured, fingers brushing the bandage at her waist. He said nothing, just nodded. She tried to stand, but staggered, nearly collapsing again. "Don't push yourself," he said. "There's an old barn I know. No one goes there. Let me help." She hesitated, then gave the smallest nod. They spent the day in the ruined barn. Sunlight filtered through broken rafters. The rogue kept watch while she slept. When night fell, she finally spoke more clearly. "My name is Selunara. I'm a night elf from Darnassus." He blinked. "Night elf?" "Yes, and the owl you saw. Her name is Ishael. She's my companion. We've trained together since I was a child." Her face darkened. "But she's gone now. Captured." She explained what had happened. She had been sent on a mission by Tyrande to retrieve an artifact known as the Verdant Shard, a powerful relic of Kaldorei origin, stolen during the chaos of the Third War. The artifact had disappeared into human lands and was recently traced to Stormwind. She had tracked it to the edge of Elwynn, but someone had tipped off a secret faction within the Stormwind military. She was ambushed by Thorian Vale's forces, corrupted guards operating outside the king's law. Outnumbered and outmatched, she fled. Ishael had defended her and bought her time to escape and was taken in her place. Ishael is being held in the stockades, and the shard is with her. There was silence. Finally, she asked him, "And what's your name?" He hesitated, then touched the dagger at his side. "Ashwind. That's what I go by." She raised an eyebrow but didn't question it. They needed a plan. Selunara needed to recover the relic. He didn't know why he was going. Curiosity? Purpose? The way her eyes caught the firelight? Whatever it was, he agreed. Their first stop? Westfall, where rogue elements and black market scrolls flowed freer than ale in Goldshire. They needed information and gear. There, among cutthroats and smugglers, they gathered what they could. Maps of the Stormwind sewer system, stolen guard routes, a name. Cardin the Rat, a low-level informant locked in the stockades, rumored to have dirt on Tharian. Days later, beneath moonlight, they slipped into Stormwind. Through sewers, past sleeping guards, over crumbling rooftops, they moved like wraiths. Eventually they descended into the stockades, silent as death. Ashwind's dagger hummed strangely. They passed a cell, and there, etched into stone, "Property of the Copelands, may Ashwind protect you." His breath caught. A family name, a connection. This dagger had belonged to someone before him, someone imprisoned here? They reached Cardin's cell. The rat was half mad, but he talked. Tharion had betrayed not just elves, but humanity. He had hoarded magical artifacts, experimented on captured beasts, and used dark magics once forbidden. Ichael the owl was imprisoned in a magical cage in Tharion's private quarters. They made their way to the upper cells. Tharion awaited them, tall, robed, eyes like dying stars. He laughed when he saw them. "A human stray and a forest mutt. Truly Tyrande is desperate." The battle was fierce. Tharion summoned constructs of shadow and flame, but Ashwind and Selunara fought like storm and shadow. Ishiel's cry echoed as the final blow struck. The dagger plunged into Tharion's heart, glowing as if it remembered. They freed Ishiel. They found the relic, a shard of Elwynn's grace, pulsing with ancient magic. And they left. Together. Weeks passed, then months. Selunara never returned to Darnassus, not yet. She said she had more to see. And Ashwind, the man, not just the blade, was never alone again. At the edge of Elwynn, by the same river where it all began, they built a small camp. 3 shadows against the firelight. The rogue, the elf, and the owl who watched over them both. "So, I guess I'm real after all," she once said with a smirk. He smiled, finally feeling something he'd never dared name: home.